Hello there, I'm that one nerdy friend. I just got back from YCS Columbus 2 days ago, and now I have this to show. What I played. A deck I like to call Fluffal Trifecta. I have been keeping some of the more specific parts of this deck secret from everyone, the online community, games. I've been actively playing a worse version of the deck and not showing some things off or explaining it in hopes that I could sweep the event. I didn't. I made day two, which I'm very happy for my first event. And also, I made some pretty good memories, so I'm very happy I went. But I made a few mistakes because, again, it was my first event, like not taking Twin Twister out of the main deck, so I had a improper side deck. So, so I lost the game, or just missing obvious plays that would have kept me in games. But you never know because some of the parts of these decks is random, which is something I really enjoy. Now I should explain something right away. This 50-point elephant in the room. Why would I spend 50 points on Kelbeck? Well, I'm playing Eva, I'm playing Herald, I'm playing a lot of cards with graveyard effects. So instead of spending 50 points on, say, my extra deck and by board and that, why don't I just make the board? Why don't I just make my end board my hand? I'll mill Eva, add a bunch of heralds to hand, and then that way I'll have a board that cannot be broken at all because they can't possibly attack my hand and they can't possibly attack my graveyard because I have the shufflers to back up the heralds. This is very effective to the point where this deck's end boards are so hard to break that in the entire tournament, it was only broken once. And even then, that was when I wasn't able to find any heralds, something so unlikely that I think it's only come up 3 times total that I've played this deck, and I've played this deck for hundreds of games. The main advantages of this deck is it is the best abuser of Shuffler Herald combo in Genesys format because it actually wants to play the Shufflers and the Heralds, so you're not liable to brick on them because the Shufflers are your main engine, and they draw so many and Fluffal draws so many cards and gets so much advantage that the Heralds are actually supported by them, making them the best abuser of this incredibly powerful combo. Now, going to the card by card, free bear, free dog, one dolphin, one penguin, two wings. These are very odd ratios for Fluffal, and it is made to support the Shizu Shufflers as much as possible, and two Fluffal Wings helps us in a grind game because this deck has an amazing grind game, but sometimes Reese's are hard to come by, and a weird shenanigan with Eva. And then we have free Gemini Neprim and one Quartz. This is mostly a rank 4 package, but it's also just so happens to be the attributes we want for this deck, being Light and Earth Fairies. Light's for Evas, Earth for Shufflers. We have free each of the Heralds, and then we have the first tech card that I'm going to explain because I guarantee nobody has seen this before unless they played me online, in which case I'm sorry. Zolga the Prophet. Zolga the Prophet can special summon itself as long as I control an Earth Fairy. And then I can look at the top 5 cards of each player's deck. This is insane. Not only can I confirm what my opponent's playing in game 1, I can also confirm my own draws and mills are good and play accordingly. It's just an extender that I can search off Gravekeeper's Trap, and Gravekeeper's Trap has an effect that during my opponent's draw phase, if I call the top card of their deck correctly, it's sent to the graveyard. This card is amazing. We have free Foolish Burial Goods. This can search any Fluffal in the deck. It can also reborn any fairy from graveyard, and then it can search one of the best cards in the deck, Mutiny Sky, to the point where I should probably be on more or siding more, and I'm thinking about doing that. But I never had a chance to test it because I was keeping a lot of this a secret. And then we have Toy Vendors. Toy Vendors lets you add a Fluffal monster when it's into graveyard, and also can be used to discard cards from hand for very specific things, like sending another Toy Vendor. Free Vingos Blessing. This is copies 4 through 6 of Neprim, which can summon itself from graveyard when it's sent from hand or graveyard by discarding a card by sending a card from your hand to the graveyard. And then we have Full Armored Xyz, which is technically a brick, but is able to be easily shuffled back with the Shizus, so drawing it isn't the end of the world. Gravekeeper's Trap, drawing that is the end of the world. And it's one of the reasons I didn't do as well as I hoped. Because I drew this 5 times in 10 rounds, which is statistically unlikely. And I drew Dolphin so many times, and it's the other hard brick of the deck because it does nothing. It's not even an Earth Fairy, so I can't even discard it because it needs Toy Venom and Graveyard to activate its effect. But it is amazing. Discard a card, add 1 Gravekeepers or Earth Fairy. That first part will never come up, but it could be used to add everything, every single card you practically ever want in your deck. And also lets you do it in your opponent's turn, so you can get Kelbeck Mills on both players' turns. And then we have Keldo and Medora. If you don't know what these do, they both have the effect to discard Nerf Fairies, but summon themselves to the field, and then Keldo adds 1 card that mentions Exchange the Spirit or Exchange the Spirit, which is why we're playing Exchange the Spirit, because when Exchange the Spirit is graveyard, Gravekeeper's Trap has the effect to lock out your opponent's graveyard, and Medora sets Exchange the Spirit face up in deck. This is so important to the engine that you can't side this card out. Eva is the heart and soul of the deck. This is your end board. You're basically searching this all the way. Vingos Blessing is able to do that. You could also have insane draw power, and it is just an amazing card that for some reason is at 1 point. In the side, free Purple Light. You will thank me when you encounter a trap deck if you have these. Free Illusion Gate, they're free, might as well. 1 Exchange the Spirit to floodgate out opponents. I will mention though, you shouldn't put this in all the time, even if your opponent's on a deck with graveyard effects, because it will kind of tunnel vision you, and those lines can be a little weird and weaker. We have Mischief of the Gnomes. This is a free floodgate. We are a mill deck, and we play Foolish Burial Goods natively. This is just amazing. Reincarnation of Veiling Mail is for the KT matchup because we need a card that can out RX. Free Book of Eclipse and free Twin Twister. Book of Eclipse is the best board breaker in the format, and Twin Twister is free back row removal, so we might as well play it. For the extra deck, we have a Seraphonite. We're on Gem Knights, we might as well. And an extra normal is really good for extension going first. It doesn't come off often, but when it does, you would be glad it's in your extra deck. 1, Loose the Dust Dark. This is an amazing going second card that not only pops a card in your opponent's field and prevents your own cards from being destroyed, and if your opponent does somehow destroy a card, it lets you pop another card on the field. It also is just an extension going second or first if your opponent nibs you, because you can use it to send Neprim or Keldo for mills, or Eva to set up a going second grind game to kill your opponent over time. And then I'll go for the Xyz really quickly because I really don't want to explain them, because these cards all do very niche things and very specific things that I want you to discover for yourself. And also, I'm lazy. We have Eclipse Twins, Light Dragon Agnister, Excite Knight, Minerva, Tornado Dragon, Full Armored Utopia Raid Lancer. This is a going first card somehow. UFC, this is our most broken end board piece ever. Bajiki Amaterasu, this is our second most broken end board piece ever. Dark Knight Lancer, adding back Full Armored Xyz is our amazing resource loop, which is why this engine's included in the deck. Full Armored Crystal Zero Lancer is a going second card that mostly just reads detach Xyz Armor Fortress, which is important because of its equipped effect. And then we have Xyz Armor Fortress, which again has that equipped effect, and then adds Full Armored Xyz and gets us into the rest of the monsters. We have Dagaris, which is where 10 points for our cards are going. This is how we set up our resource loop. And then we have Utopia Rising. Now, normally, in a deck with UFC, Armored, you would really play Ga, which can reborn any Xyz monster, which is better because if your opponent nibs you, you can reborn Xyz Armor Fortress and still have Dark Knight. Well, I found a very cool combo, a very cute combo that I've been keeping secret for 4 months. And that I'm really excited to show off, finally. Because because this has one effect that Gaga doesn't. It can reborn itself if you Xyz summon. So now I'll go into solo mode and show off that cute combo along with a few other specifics that I can't quite show in the deck editor. So after you set up the Dagaris into Xyz Armor Fortress and you get another rank 4 on field, you can go into Utopia Rising. Utopia Rising reborns Dagaris, but at this point we're at the same point Gaga would be at. Well, we discard the full armored Xyz and we go into Utopia Ray Lancer, whose main advantage as a going first card is that it's a rank 4 I can put on top of another rank 4, which I believe it's the only of its kind. Thank you, full armored Utopia Ray Lancer. After Makanko, I thought I would cut you, but I never think about doing that again. Because when I overlay into what you'd think would be UFC, but is in actuality Eclipse Twins. Because of the second effect of Utopia Rising. It sees the Xyz summon of Eclipse Twins because it's detached during the Xyz summon. It's weird order of operations. I know, but it does let me reborn Utopia Rising. And then I can get a UFC on board with Eclipse Twins under it. This is your minimum board. The thing you'll be able to get, I'd say 19 times out of 20 whenever you go first. And then your higher value board will be with a Jinky Amaterasu, and your highest value board will be a Light Dragon Administer to prevent destruction of your board. Now, this looks weak. There are only 2 interactions on here, free if they remove UFC and you reborn it. That is not that much. The goal of the board is to make an end board that cannot be outed without board breakers, but are also so resistant to board breakers. It's so effective at this that of the times that I went first, I was able to successfully defend my board and keep it from getting broken all but 1 time. And that was on the lowest of low roll hands that will only happen every 1 in 100 games. This is because the board is in the hand and graveyard with the Heralds and the Ishizus. But Jinky Amaterasu adds back resources from Banish and also replaces one of the materials used to special summon itself or multiple in specific scenarios with Penguin or Neprim. And also can add back Heralds that you banish off Eva. And that's why it is so incredibly powerful. It's also a soft once per turn, so if your opponent outs it, you can use Eclipse Twins. It's amazing. We also have the Shufflers. They can't interact with those. Just completely shuts down the graveyard. That is what this deck builds up to do. It builds up to make a board that cannot be outed. But also your opponent is incentivized to out. And they are not rewarded for it at all. Because like all boards, playing into it is how you win. You cannot play into a playing into a board with negates and actively using cards to stop some of those interactions is what allows the opponent to have a chance going second. Now, if the process of breaking the board gets them absolutely nowhere, and they're unable to interact with any of your interactions, then you have built a truly unbreakable board. And that is what this deck sees at. This deck is so scary if you are on the draw into this board. It is truly unbreakable, and I am sorry to everyone at YCS Columbus that I hit it with, especially you, MBT. I'm sorry I kind of embarrassed you after taking a game 1 loss to my incompetence of not submitting a deck. I'm sorry I just 2-0'd you. I'm sorry I had to do it to you. I'm not sorry at all. That was a complete lie. It was the highlight of my tournament. I had a really fun time at YCS Columbus, and I hope you have a fun time with this deck. I met so many different people and felt like a member of the Yu-Gi-Oh community in a way I'd never felt before. And I'm excited to continue making content again now that I can actually show this off because I'm paranoid all my little tricks will be stolen. And I'm gonna be making more content soon, so if you like a little gremlin who constantly plays Yu-Gi-Oh in weird ways, subscribe, like, hit buttons, do YouTube stuff. I'll see you around. Bye.